Who says that sprint races are boring? Who says that they are not important in Formula 1? Because we had an absolutely sensational Sao Paulo sprint today on Saturday, and it's really shaken up the championship battle. Here are the 5 things that we learned from the Sao Paulo Grand Prix sprint today. Now, there were reports of this race potentially being under threat in terms of the weather. A lot of people sharing this forecast that's saying there was going to be 100-mile-an-hour winds and tropical storms. And as usual, a lot of these reports turned out to be absolutely bogus. Although, admittedly, today's weather was very different when compared to Friday. There was a decent amount of rain in the morning. However, by the start of the Grand Prix, it had stopped. Although, it was far from dry in the opening stages. It was dry enough to be able to go out on slick tyres, but especially along the long pit straight, it was anything but dry, and it was a long way from dry as well going through the Senna S. More on that very soon, but yeah, that made it very interesting in terms of the tyre choices. Most drivers ended up going for the medium tyre, but some, such as the Mercedes guys, ended up starting on the soft to try and get a faster start. But that all flip-flop, that all completely changed around when Oscar Piastri spun out of the race. He was running in P3, the position that he qualified in. He was trying to chase down Kimi Antonelli, who was running an excellent second at that time. But it was not to be. He ended up spinning through the exit of the Senna S, the exit of turn 3. Now, the reason why he spun, and this has been the topic of a lot of debate and a lot of controversy, but I firmly believe the reason why he spun was basically largely down to a skill issue. I'm sorry, Oscar Piastri, I have to say it. Because at the end of the day, even though Lando Norris flicked up some water onto the track, Kimi Antonelli didn't spin off. He went through that first. He would have got more moisture on his tyres than what Oscar Piastri did. And of course, Kimi Antonelli is a much less experienced driver. He's 19 years of age. He is in his rookie season. We talk about Piastri being inexperienced, and he is inexperienced relatively in Formula 1 terms, but he is still in his 3rd season. He basically just went too much on the curbs, too much moisture on the tyres, and spun out as a result. He was not the only one to do so. Franco Colapinto had quite a heavy impact. He was out of the race as well on that same lap, spinning in pretty much the exact same spot. Nico Hülkenberg also spun out. Again, very experienced drivers. It could happen to anybody. But still, when you're going for a championship like that, it's not a great look. Hülkenberg did, of course, continue. He was down at the back of the grid. He ended up having to have his front and rear wing replaced, but Sauber got him out there again. Fair play to them for that. But yeah, really bad for Oscar Piastri. That is the last thing that his title challenge needs. Now, that meant that there was a red flag thrown at Interlagos because of the damage to the barriers. There was a pause of about 20-30 minutes or so as a result of that. And at the restart, essentially everybody could change their tyres. Everybody could do whatever repairs they needed to their car. And that meant that a lot of guys actually went for the soft tyres, and that ended up being the wrong move. But despite that, Lando Norris still won the sprint. He was one of the guys that went onto the soft tyres. He did get quite a big advantage off the start and in the earlier stages of the race. But eventually, Kimi Antonelli was really hounding him to get that win. But in the end, it's 8 points gained for Lando Norris. That is a huge result for him. But yeah, excellent day for Mercedes. 3rd thing that we learned, a double podium for Mercedes. George Russell did challenge Kimi Antonelli at the start and also at the restart as well. Couldn't get past him on either occasion. Excellent result for the youngster and a great result as well for George Russell. Of course, Russell won the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2022, completing a double, as it were, during that weekend, because he also won the sprint race during that weekend too. So yeah, excellent from Kimi. Great for George as well. Mercedes gaining some big points in that constructors battle. It's very close between 2nd through to 4th. Red Bull and Ferrari also in that battle too. But how did Max Verstappen do? Well, he did as well as he could, to be honest with you. He ended up getting in P4. He overtook Fernando Alonso off the line, and he also managed to overtake Oscar Piastri because Piastri crashed out, so he ended up going from P6 to P4. Basically, that was as good as it was ever going to get from him, unfortunately. Red Bull just do not have the pace this weekend, and as we'll see in the qualifying review, that might be the highlight of his weekend because he did not have a good qualifying session later in the day. And the final thing that we learned is, thank God Gabi Bortoleto is alright. What a horrific accident did the boy from Brazil. He was trying to go for an overtaking maneuver on one of the Racing Bulls, I believe. I think it was Isaac Hadjar. And at that time, he basically dived down the inside going into turn 1. The car was offline, it was not a dry line either, so grip was very much at a premium. It's very bumpy at that part of the track, and he also had his DRS flap open, I do believe, at that point too. So that really unsettled the rear of the car. He lost control of the rear of the car, slammed into the pit wall, and then just careered off the side of the track. Big impact into the barriers. It was a 57G impact. Thankfully, he said he was relatively okay. However, his car was very much not okay, and Sauber were unable to repair it in time for qualifying. He will start the race at the discretion of the stewards and pending any kind of medical investigation as well, but I do expect him to start the race tomorrow on Sunday, albeit from the very back, if not the pit lane. But yeah, those were the 5 things that we learned from the sprint race, guys. So much going on. Controversial clash between Ollie Behrman and Liam Lawson that I've not mentioned. Pierre Gasly getting points as well in the Alpine. That is no mean feat as well. And Aston Martin absolutely botching the strategy, but they still get some points from Fernando Alonso's performance. So much going on. Definitely watch it back if you haven't watched it yet. Watch it in full as well, or catch the highlights on YouTube, whatever you prefer. We'll be here very soon to cover the qualifying session as well. Like I said, that'll be going out very shortly after this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. Have a fantastic day wherever you're on the world today, and we'll see you very soon.